Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 181 of the Xbox Hall of Gamers podcast. This week, I'm joined by Cameron.
Hey.
And that's it. It's just us two. We had a bit of a week off last week, so we're playing a bit of catch up. But there's a little bit of news. Obviously, Gamescom's kicked off, and people are talking about stuff there. And apparently, there's quite a bit of hands-on stuff going there, which I'm very excited about. But as always, we do the show live on Twitch. Xbox Hall of Gamers is the place to find us, so come say hi, hang out in the chat, the usual business. But before we get into any news, let's just kick off. We got a couple of community questions from the last couple of weeks, so let's just start with those. A new question asker extraordinaire, Red Ninja Dan, says, since last week was about DC, this week should be about what Marvel hero or villain you guys want to have their own game. Says, for me, I don't really know what Marvel character I would pick, because Marvel covered a lot of characters in their games, and I'm more of a DC fan. But if I had to pick something, I'd go with an Iron Man game with some sort of Anthem flight mechanic, or maybe something similar to Gotham Knight, but with the Hulk. It's funny, actually, because those two things he picked are things that already exist, kind of. There are a couple of Iron Man games, and that Iron Man VR thing is still happening at EA, apparently. Again, the Iron Man thing seems like the perfect application for VR, right?
Yeah, I agree. I immediately had an answer to this one.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it was actually a game.
Oh, which one?
Teen Titans.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess these days it would be Teen Titans Go, right, in terms of the more recent version. But, yeah, I guess that came from an era when licensed games were more of a thing, like on the PlayStation 2 Xbox generation.
So, first thing that came to mind was make a Metroidvania. Similar to how we've played Ben 10 this week.
Yeah.
Have a whole bunch of characters. Have your team with different abilities and that, and then just do Metroidvania kind of tasks.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like beat them up. That's the first one to jump to mind. I was trying to find very obscene characters. And the other stuff is whether they did not an Agents of Shield, but along that kind of
like a shieldy kind of game that has superhero stuff in it, but you're not necessarily a superpowered dude yourself.
Yeah,
I could see that.
It's similar to the DC thing where I was like, let's do an Alfred game, right? Let's just do an Alfred game where we just do a management sim kind of thing. What do you have in mind?
Yeah, it's funny. The other one that Red Ninja Dan mentions is Gotham Knights, but like the Hulk. They did have that really, really good Hulk 360 open world game that was I can't remember what it was called, Path of Destruction or something, where you just go around fucking things up and just destroying buildings and shit. It was based on the Ultimate Hulk, the Hulk movie with Edward Norton. It was kind of the whole thing because you had to fight Abomination. Yeah, I'm trying to think of this. The Avengers feels like such a rich piece of material to make a proper video game out of, right? Unlike something like DC where you've got a lot of different continuities that have come along, and you've got the very big difference between the animated and the live action stuff, and then it kind of they reboot it every few years. And and obviously some of that stuff still happens with Marvel, but something like. I realize what I'm about to describe is basically just Marvel Ultimate Alliance, I think that genre fits really well with a co-op, top-down, relatively straightforward but fun to play with different characters kind of thing. And the rosters in those games have always been fantastic. And the second game basically picking the sort of Civil War timeline sort of arc as the centerpiece for that game, I think was a really, really cool idea. It kind of all goes to shit in the third act because they needed a video gamey way to end the game. But yeah, I don't know.
I kind of more vibe with the single character.
Sure.
The one perspective as opposed to doing it.
Yeah, sure. If you want something a bit more narrative and a bit something that's God of War sort of thing for a Marvel character, maybe, or something along those lines.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you remember that PS2 stuff leaked about Daredevil? like I want to say 2 years ago. Did
No,
you
I
see
don't
that?
actually. Remind me.
There was a leaked PS2 game called, I think it was Daredevil: A Man Without Fear, something along those
Right.
lines, and it had that like cell, I guess that Borderlands kind of cell
The
shade
comic booky sort of thing.
that you'd
Yeah.
find in some of the PS2 games. But I don't know, something. I feel like some of the Defenders characters would be like Daredevil, Luke Cage,
Yeah, I think that makes it like
Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones mystery game would be cool too.
that would be fucking cool. Actually, yeah. I feel like that Defenders stuff lends itself well to a lot of kinds of genres. Like I could so easily see a Defenders Telltale style. I mean, I guess we're it's kind of what they did with Guardians, right? I guess that was their Marvel property they picked for that. But yeah, Defenders would be really good because it's kind of more ground level, down to earth, kind of like, okay, cool, we're gonna do this cool thing, and like because Heroes for Hire is also just kind of like a nice thing for that with Luke Cage and Iron Fist.
I'm trying to think if there's any other character. Like, I guess the thing with the MCU now and all that is the stakes always have to be higher.
Sure.
Like, it always has to be like something's bigger than the last project kind of stuff.
How do you do something bigger than Endgame? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everything that I see on Twitter and that these days is essentially like, this happened on the Doomsday set.
Yeah, I mean that is the next big thing. I don't really know if it's gonna. I don't know. I didn't watch Fantastic Four. I didn't watch Thunderbolts. Like I haven't caught up with almost any of this stuff.
I've heard good things, but it's very much a case
Exactly.
of,
I've been thinking about like that era of when like licensed games still came out. Like they had that Thor game that was bad, but they did have that Captain America game, which was actually pretty good. Like that Captain America one that had that sort of Batman Arkham light combat to it and styling that I thought was really, really cool. I don't think you can even get it anymore because I think they delisted it or whatever. But like that kind of thing I think is really, really cool. I mean, the obvious choice probably is like Spider-Man, right? Like I think that Insomniac have proved that Spider-Man is just kind of an evergreen property for the most part. As like Marvel's most popular superhero for sure.
So very, very sidetracked story. I started watching Boston Legal today. Something to
You
do.
just started watching it, or have you seen it before?
I've never seen Boston Legal.
Oh my
before.
god, Boston Legal is one of my favorite shows of all time.
Okay, so I'm a fan of James Spader though, and I'm just like, all right, I want something based in law but comedy.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll watch this, and I didn't realize their pilot episode was had the comment in it about So just to set it up, one of the cases in it is about this young black girl being not getting cast for Annie, essentially.
Yes, yeah.
And she's a good singer and all that, and they just think it's purely because of her skin color. And then when the guy comes into the courtroom and starts making the speech and all that, he's just like, he mentions the Spider-Man, not having a Spider-Man of African descent, and I'm just like, holy hell, this would have been before the Miles Morales.
Before Miles Morales, yeah, exactly, yeah.
But I just thought too, we've got that 1943 game.
Yeah, the Hydra thing.
Well.
Yeah, that got delayed. That's the kind of thing that I'm really interested in for sure. I think that's the kind of interesting, hard hitting, like narrative heavy.
Yeah.
Like that's mostly what I go to those properties for. You know, like Star Wars was the same for me, where it was like something that had a lot of interesting things going on that wasn't just necessarily, oh, cool, Jedi and that sort of stuff. I don't know.
I mean, the only Marvel, I guess, game that I've played as of late would be Rivals last year.
Right, yeah.
And I really enjoyed Rivals, but Rivals 100% just a Overwatch skin.
Yeah, basically, again, and like not much on the narrative side of things, but it's still, I think, probably the one that people know the most. Keo in chat says, doing a raunchy Squirrel Girl game. That would be nuts. Yeah, I mean, like, besides the pun, like Squirrel Girl would be a fun character.
I see what he did.
Yeah, I feel like the Lego stuff have done a lot of Marvel stuff. Again, like I kind of fell off the Lego games since all that Marvel stuff sort of came out, right? But
I'm not sure if you saw it. Did you see the Lego Batman stuff
yes,
at
the Lego
Gamescom?
Batman stuff, yeah, it looks fucking cool.
I don't think I've been hyped for a Lego game in a while, but I'm like, me and Nikita were just like, yeah, we're probably gonna get
This is
this.
Batman
I'm
Arkham, but
absolutely really
fucking
keen.
Lego. Yeah, it looks cool as shit.
Lego. And Matt Berry
Yeah,
as Bane.
yeah.
Like, yes, this is what we need in our video games.
And apparently there's going to be the Riddler shot coming up again because, there's more Riddler trophies to find. So at least they're carrying that over from Rocksteady. Yeah.
The only other thing too is I kind of want them just to relist the 360 Spider-Man games as well.
Yeah,
Or
the 360.
pull it Spider-Man over.
I'd love to see some more Spider-Man games. I mean, like, obviously they Marvel, well, Insomniac are doing that kind of thing now with that stuff. But there have been a lot of good Spider-Man games over the years. Like Web of Shadows was fucking cool. Amazing Spider-Man was decent. I think I'm very interested to see what they do with Wolverine. I feel like we're overdue for a good X-Men game. Actually, is probably the right answer, right? Like I know that they're Disney are trying to get X-Men back into the forefront now that they own it with Fox and all that sort of stuff, and that's kind of going to be an avenue that they're going to go down. But I'd love to see like a really fucking cool X-Men game because that's an awesome team up. As long as it's not a fucking Avengers style live service, that's just the one thing I'm worried about.
Wolverine feels really weird for me only because of the Insomniac leaks. Like, it's put me in more of a mindset that this is like, it feels like, I don't want to say a cancelled game, but it just feels less.
Well, we haven't really heard anything about it since the leaks, and even before then, right? It's been relatively quiet over at Insomniac, and obviously they did Spider-Man 2 a couple of years ago. Last year was it? Or the year before?
The Miles Morales one, Spider-Man.
Miles Morales, yeah. But I know not a lot, people were not super. I don't know. Spider-Man 2 got some interesting reception. But
I know I'd still be keen to like. I mean, I'm really hoping with this new, upcoming console generation that we start seeing like. Hopefully, something like Spider-Man, Disney would push.
It to go
Sony
multi-plat. Yeah, I mean it's on
platforms.
PC already, and that's always the first gateway to come to other consoles. So that would be really, really cool.
I mean, I've seen a few discussions going around that, obviously with Helldivers going to us now. Whether that opens the floodgates from the Sony side.
Maybe. You never know, right?
I would really like a future where, every Xbox major release goes to Sony, and then every PlayStation major release goes to Xbox, and it just very much becomes a conversation of hardware.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question there, Dan. Marvel's a bit of an interesting one. I feel like there's always a lot of potential, but I feel like you either pick something that's kind of a bit more obscure and no one's interested, or well, actually no. What usually ends up happening is you do something like the Guardians of the Galaxy game, which was really, really good, and no one fucking bought it. That's my main concern. Yeah.
That's kind of what it's weird, right? Because I liked the Guardians of the Galaxy game, but I haven't been able to find myself going back, and it makes me wonder, like, what is the difference when it comes to, like, say, a Spider-Man release, whether 1943 is going to fall into that.
Well, I mean,
Ubisoft with their IP stuff is like weird,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the difference is. I mean, maybe it's just like Square Enix just doesn't have the budget that you get on like a first-party PlayStation game, or second-party, I guess technically. But yeah. All right. Next question we got here is from Mad Lefty, who says, "I've seen a lot of articles about recent surveys and statistics trying to attack Game Pass lately. Do you guys feel this is a recent trend, or is my algorithm just showing me more of these types of articles that have been around for the last few years? Do you think Sony is putting any money towards an attack campaign, or could it just be one of the other major publishers or devs? Curious about your thoughts on Game Pass hate, and if it might become enough to cause Microsoft to pivot." We do have a bit of an article about some interesting news about Game Pass since this question came along, so we'll probably get into that shortly. But I don't know. I mean, have you? We did talk about it a couple of weeks ago. There was kind of a bit of a glut of Game Pass reporting. I don't know if it necessarily like attack or like negative. It's not all like negative press. It's just kind of mixed. There definitely is some negative stuff in there, but there's definitely been quite a few articles recently about like Game Pass and its effect on the industry. And now that I think maybe that's partly because Microsoft have really indicated that that's where they see their growth, and them going multi-platform, like Game Pass is supposed to be their new differentiator. Now they're kind of getting a hardware, and so it's getting more scrutiny. I don't know. Any thoughts?
There was that Sony exec last month, maybe a few weeks ago, commenting on how he doesn't think it's sustainable for the industry. But I was watching Xbox Era podcast last week, and they had a really good discussion piece and like how, essentially like Sony, when we had the whole free games given away, like that's kind of like how we like Games of Gold, and then what's Sony's version of it called?
PlayStation Plus.
PlayStation. Was it PlayStation Plus?
Yeah, well, it was the same thing basically. They started phasing it out, I think. Yeah.
How that essentially led us to this point, but I'm trying to think what the guy's name was.
I mean, Game Pass was always the idea was like Netflix for games, right? And people would pitch this like, I think people forget that Microsoft were not the ones who came up with this idea. Like this was something that venture capitalists and tech bros have been wanting for ages in terms of like once the video game market was growing and they saw what streaming had done for Netflix and that everyone wanted to get a piece of that pie as it completely changed the industry. And they thought, well, video games are probably going to be in a similar boat, right? Like, especially now that video games become all digital. And you had a bunch of services like OnLive and like, oh God, and like even Stadia was kind of going down that route as well. And Microsoft was kind of talking a bit about it with like cloud gaming and that kind of thing around like streaming stuff and like the idea of like, again, the Xbox One was like not owning your games was kind of a part of their thing. Again, like it was never really fully developed because they walked it back so quickly. But yeah, I don't know if
the thought I was gonna make is when I talk to other devs in the space, basically the viewpoint on Game Pass from a dev perspective is if you've got a small team and you're taking on a substantial amount of risk to de-risk your project, you take on something, you try and get onto Game Pass.
Sure.
It's very much a case of trying to get on a Game Pass as opposed to not. However, if you fully believe in your project has the legs to be a critical success, then you don't look at something like Game Pass so you can keep as much of your cut as possible.
Sure, which makes sense, right?
In terms of the recent trend of negative, there was that guy last month talking about it. I'm trying to find out what his name was, but yeah, escaping me. Other than that, I mean, everything from realistically, the dev perspective is the only thing that matters for me.
Sure.
Because as long as the devs have sustained income to be able to keep their studios running and to continue making games, that's the most important thing for me.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I think to maybe address Lefty's questions here around like, is this a recent trend? Yeah, I think it is. It is a recent trend. It is definitely like there's been more scrutiny on Game Pass. There's been a lot more talk about it, especially with the way the games industry is in a very rough spot right now. There's still a lot of layoffs happening. Microsoft is still even shutting down studios. Like I think this discussion was all the way back into like Tango Gameworks getting shut down and Arcane Austin and all that kind of stuff around like making successful games is putting them on Game Pass, just leaving them to die. And there's a bit of a derogatory. In the gaming space is a bit of a derogatory thing of like it's a Game Pass game. Or it's like I'll wait for it to come to Game Pass, or it's like it's Game Pass slop. The kind of thing where it's like, yeah, it's like the kind of thing that I'd only play for free, which I think it's been equated to like like Adam Sandler movies on Netflix and stuff, and the kind of shit that just Netflix funds because they know a shitload of just lerpa derps will watch a shitload of it and stream a shitload and pay for their subscription service, but there's no actual real quality on there, which I don't think is Game Pass at all. I think there's so much good stuff on Game Pass, not even first party stuff. I mean, obviously Microsoft feels like they can't release a first party game to save their life, but I mean, like Expedition 33 is my game of the year this year, and I probably would have played it. I probably would have picked it up and bought it with all the hype that was there. But the fact that it was on Game Pass makes it so easy for me to recommend, to be like, people need to play this game. Like, it is a must-play video game. Whereas, like,
can I just say with that too? Free games off the top of my head. Like, I love the Altars. I need to go back to it. I love Expedition 33 from what I've played of it so far. I just want to be able to sit down and fully enjoy it. Hollow Knight Silksong.
Yep.
Coming to
Game Pass. Yep.
2025 in terms of Game Pass gets, everything on there there is so many Game of the Year contenders on the service. Outside of I mean, even Indiana Jones, right? Indiana Jones is a very hard game to market because you're more so living the experience as opposed to...
Sure.
It's not like stuff you can show off in quick snippets, right? So it's very hard to market. I feel like Game Pass, like everything we got in the last year is just amazing for Game Pass.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's, again, we do talk about how, like, there are good months and bad months in terms of like things leaving and things joining, but overall, we've had a lot of really, really good stuff this year and last year.
The only thing I was going to say, just as a bit of a self-realization, is I think it's only a negative when it comes to the AAA space. So taking something like Guardians of the Galaxy and all that.
Sure.
When it is a AAA game, full price title and all that I don't have the biggest interest in, that's when I'll be like, all right, well, I'll just wait until it comes to Game Pass. And then if it never does, but it's on a 50% sale, like, it's more so where the industry as a whole and the fact that us as gamers are spoiled for choice, and that Game Pass as an achievement hunter is a much more sustainable way to game.
Yeah.
A cost-effective way to game, as opposed to, me and you go back like 5-10 years ago. Game Pass 2017, before that, like early Xbox One generation, I was spending so much money on games.
Yeah, I was spending like probably upwards of probably at least $100 a week, maybe, depending on what was coming out and what the sales were. Like, yeah, it's the reason why I still have 200 games in my backlog I've never even started. Right? Is that exactly right? And I think that as the economy has gotten worse and games have gotten more expensive and it's been harder and harder to justify buying things, the answer wasn't Game Pass was a real savior in terms of like saving me for playing games, because it wouldn't just be that it was not sustainable and I just can't afford to buy that many games anymore. And it was like, either you play it on Game Pass or you wait for a deep discount, like 50% or more, before you even think about playing a game. And those could be like 6 months to a year out from those games coming out. Yeah.
I was going to say the other aspect too of it is, what was I going to say? So, like, obviously going back to the pricing and all that. God, I just had a thought and just
it'll come to you.
Yeah. So like with the pricing and all, sorry. So us as gamers now and all that, as achievement hunters, we get we get bang for our buck.
Sure. Yeah.
It's always a case of the amount of games that are hitting Game Pass, even us going back to like games that are leaving. There's so much that we can do in terms of Game Pass to, only end up having to buy a few titles a year, right?
Yeah.
You think of the standard player and all that. Standard players will more so treat it as a subscription service where, you might play 2 titles a month. I don't think an achievement hunter is anywhere near that. Like, anywhere low as that.
Sure. Yeah, actually, we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later in terms of like what Game Pass's attachment numbers are in terms of how is it making any difference in the way people play games and buy games. Yeah, I think just like for me, I would just buy. I would probably buy slightly more games than I buy right now, but it definitely wouldn't be back to where it used to be. I think Game Pass is the main reason that I can play so many titles and talk about things on this podcast and feel comfortable being like, cool, like I can jump into something for a few hours, have a good time with it, and go on this podcast and say it's on Game Pass, give it a go, highly recommend it. You don't need to shell out $100 for it.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's the best thing. Like, you don't have to rely on reviews.
Yeah, exactly, and which is again, like,
Sorry,
yeah,
I should say this: the old style of reviews of
sure,
us. Having to find somebody that kind of gels with our style, and going for that low entry, low risk.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, do you, like, we've talked about Game Pass a lot, obviously, because it's a big driver for this show. Do you think it's overall? Do you think it's a net positive or net negative for the industry?
As a net, I would say net positive for the industry. But it's one of those things that I feel at different levels it acts as its own thing, right? Like, I think as a indie dev starting off and all that, if you've got a very, if you got a project that you firmly believe in and all that, but you're a bit worried because it's your first title and all that, you don't have that name behind you yet. Is this something that you pitch to Xbox to try and make sure you get enough funding to go into your second game? Like, ultimately, at the end of the day, you want to be sustainable. And unfortunately, with the way the industry is at the moment, you're not like you were like 10 to 20 years ago, where you could, you could have a mediocre success and still be okay.
Yeah, AA's basically gone, and the AAA publishers are getting really tight around handing out money to smaller projects.
I'd say AA's gone, but I would say Embracer kind of just bought up everything that was,
and then went under. Basically.
Okay, so they're not all gone, but like there's still a AA space there.
Sure. Yeah, AA died for a long time in terms of the medium-sized publishers, right? And it was like Embracer was sort of pitched to be the ones to bring those back, and that's why they were acquiring so many properties. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't put it in the news for this week, but I did hear an interesting thing around Sword of the Sea, which is the follow-up to the guys who made Abzu and the Pathless, and so it's their kind of next 3 to 4 hour really beautiful, interesting game with amazing music and all that kind of stuff. They were originally going to be independently published, but they apparently struck a deal with Sony because they were running out of funding, and basically got the game put onto, I guess again, they didn't specifically say exactly what the deal was, but it sounded like the deal was basically, we'll provide funding for this game if you make sure that you put it onto PS Plus day one. And I'm wondering how many games kind of end up in a sort of similar situation where it's like, well, shit, it's not so much that we want to be on Game Pass, but it feels like we kind of have to. And again, maybe it is slightly different in the fact that PlayStation are kind of the dominant force right now. But Xbox's Game Pass is definitely the most known subscription service, right? It's the one that everyone talks about.
The other thing we haven't really ever mentioned on the pod before as well is a lot of these games... Sorry, a lot of these studios kind of have a track record for releasing on Game Pass as well.
Sure.
So take like Revenge of the Savage Planet for example.
Yeah.
I wonder if the Savage Planet did well enough that they can justify going back to Xbox and saying, well, these were our numbers and all that last time.
Yeah.
Give us a bigger slice of the pie.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, if they're there'll be kind of devs who just do Game Pass stuff or just do subscription service style games. I mean, obviously you can still buy the games themselves, but yeah, I would be curious to see, again, like dev cycles are so long that it would be hard to see at this point. Like the services aren't quite old enough to maybe have 3 or 4 games under their belt for the most part. But we do definitely see some studios that are just always coming to Game Pass day one.
There was an article, I want to say like a week and a half, maybe it's a little bit longer, Revenge of the Savage Planet, and they were talking about like if everybody went out and bought. I was like, if 10% of the people bought the game, they would just continue working on it. Which really bummed me out. I was just like, please, more people play this game because
It's a great fucking game. I'll talk about it when we get to what we've been playing, but yeah, for
easily
sure.
in my top 10 of the year.
Yeah, yeah, it's a fucking fantastic game. It's a really criminally underrated game. Yeah, I think I am interested to see what happens with Game Pass, but I do get what Lefty's talking about here around like seeing a lot of chatter around it, and I don't necessarily think it's enough to make Microsoft pivot because I think Microsoft have pretty much made their bed. That Game Pass, they've kind of hitched their wagon to Game Pass as their vehicle with cloud gaming to be the thing that differentiates them from their competition now that they're kind of losing the hardware market and letting that kind of go off into the sunset. So I don't think there's going to be any change. I don't think this is like Sony attack ads or anything like that because realistically, Sony basically copied Game Pass with PlayStation Plus because they felt they had to have a competing service because they saw what Game Pass was doing and potentially changing the industry, and Sony didn't want to get left behind. Now, obviously, the thing that everyone talks about is the fact that Sony doesn't put out their first-party releases day one on that service, and people think that that's probably a healthier thing to allow those games to sell on their own, which I probably agree with, to be honest. But you also need to remember that Sony is a much smaller company than Microsoft, and in terms of studios that they own and first-party stuff that they're putting out, their strategy is slightly different in that those story, those highly invested third-person story games are like a big pillar of what they're doing, whereas like Microsoft just don't have that. They don't have that prestige television of video games kind of thing going on, which is a shame because like I feel like there's a lot of studios that would do really, really good work in that space, but Microsoft just don't have.
Yeah.
They just don't have those kinds of things coming out, and when they do, they just don't hit the way they really need to, like things like Starfield, for example. It is really interesting when you brought up Indiana Jones. It also made me think about like Indiana Jones is a really, really interesting game in that it's a fucking fantastic game, but definitely a hard sell for someone. Like again, there's I don't think I've ever played anything quite like Indiana Jones. You know what I mean? Like it was definitely a risk that, and I was pretty down on that game even coming out and kind of what it looked like when it was kind of getting previewed and I was sure it wasn't even going to come out that last year, but they made it and it was fantastic. Like it was like second on my game of the year list. It was a fucking great game.
See, that's the problem with something like that, though. It's so hard to market a game. Like, this is the best thing that I love about Game Pass, is very much the jump in.
Yeah.
And I'll like, give it a try and all that. If not my style, I'll move to something else.
Yeah.
Because of Indiana Jones is it's such a hard game to, like, just look at a video and be like, is this for me kind of stuff?
Sure.
Not until you actually get in it, start living the experience. I mean, that's archaeology, though, right?
Yeah, you got to dig it up.
Archaeology.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's, I get what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah. Any last thoughts before we move on?
That Vatican level, man.
Yeah.
So good.
I'm really looking forward to the DLC. Really curious what they do with that. All right.
Be curious to see how that rates. It won't end up as the Game of the Year contender. That's the thing.
Well, the DLC.
Sucks.
I mean, DLC's DLC. I'm always of the opinion.
Oh, I mean, like, as in it released in December.
Oh yeah, no way. Yeah, no, unfortunately not. It's a real shame, but it is what it is. Let's get into Gamescom. Gamescom's the big thing that's been happening this week. So opening night live kicked off a couple days ago. 40 different trailers. Silksong mentioned.
Yeah.
I'll admit, like, it was like a 3-hour thing. I didn't watch the whole thing. I sort of just watched a few of the trailers and that sort of stuff. But I've got the list here. I don't know. Did you watch it? I thought you, Kia, were watching it.
So I watched opening night live after, but I waited until the whole thing was out and then I just fast forwarded through the bits that I liked. And
Sure.
That pre-show, man, that was so cringe.
Was it really? Oh boy.
There was just like some Gamescom guy making jokes at the end of every trailer, and I'm just like, man, this is really rough.
Word up, kid dogs. How's it chilling? Yeah.
That kind of
To
That
be
kind of
fair,
vibe.
to be fair, you know that really just kind of makes me remember E3 fondly. You know, just that they kind of there's that level of cringe throughout the whole thing.
KFC loved it. I was not. I don't know. I was not vibing with it at like what 8 a.m. in the morning.
Sure.
I'll tell you this year though, so much friggin' FOMO.
Yeah.
Especially because I went 2 years ago, and all my Facebook memories at the moment are just spamming like Germany for me, and I'm like, man, I'd love to go again.
Maybe next
Like I
year.
still
Who knows,
remember that
right?
breakfast. I still remember that breakfast.
Always the fucking food. Yeah, yeah, I know. I know what you mean that. Like to be fair, like it's been a while since we've done an event. Who knows? Next year maybe it's Gamescom. We'll see. Um, yeah. Do you want?
Will I hold you both to that?
Well, let's see. I mean,
I will go to Gamescom as a group.
I'm definitely been traveling too much this year to be doing anything else. But maybe next year. Who knows?
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to go through the list, or do you want me to go through it?
Yeah, I guess we'll peel the stuff off with Silksong first, though.
Sure. We can talk about Silksong.
So,
What? Yeah, go for it.
all right. So yeah, Silksong. Jeff teased it being at opening live, and essentially became a case of him just saying that it will be out in 2025. But Team Cherry will share news later this week. I think it was like what 2-3 days.
It was like a day later, and they said that it's coming September 4th. So, just 2 weeks away, which is crazy to think about after all this time.
Before my wedding.
I don't know what you're gonna do, mate. That's gonna be rough. But you're not gonna play it anyway. You didn't play Hollow Knight, so.
This is the thing, right? It came out, and then I was like, man, I really should do Expedition 33.
Yes, you should
But I
definitely before this.
really want to do Hollow Knight.
Oh man, I'm definitely interested in Hollow Knight, but yeah,
I feel like it's going to be another Cuphead, though. I'll get it done, and then you'll be like, all
Yeah.
right, well, I guess I need to get it done now.
that's probably what's gonna happen. Yeah, because I know precious few people have done the original Hollow Knight, so.
And then I'll end up really liking Silksong, and then we'll get a massive argument at the end of the year discussions on which is better, Expedition 33 or Silksong.
Yeah, well, it's going to be Expedition 33. I don't think anything's going to beat that this year, but I might play Silksong. We'll have a look. I mean, it's coming to Game Pass, so that makes it easy to play.
Yeah. All right. So 40 new trailers for opening night live.
Yep, that's a lot.
Did you watch the whole show?
No, I kind of picked and choose the trailers I was interested in. Just the sort of as articles came up, I didn't sit there and watch it back to back.
So just quickly going through the pre-show segment, which I think was the most cringiest thing ever, but Kia here is saying that he loved, which worrying. So we got a few trailers. We got like a little interview about the upcoming title Keeper.
Keeper, yeah, which I'm really excited about.
I don't understand what this game is going to be, but I just dig the art style. This is 100% a game I will play because of the art.
Yeah, I mean, like it's Double Fine. I play just about anything they ever make, so in my mind, they can do no wrong outside of Brutal Legend. So sure, I have an article in there, but talking about like the fact that like Keeper is even happening. But Tim Schafer was basically saying that like it's the kind of project that would only get made because they're owned by Xbox and no one else would have funded it, basically. Actually, yeah, I will just quickly talk about that because that is kind of a nice segue.
Yeah.
But apparently they're working on a bunch of stuff, which is cool because again, we haven't really heard from Double Fine since Psychonauts 2. Outside of the rumor that they were potentially doing like a remaster of the first game.
I honestly feel like Double Fine is that kind of studio that you just give a whole bunch of money to, and then you just split them into smaller, 10 people project teams, and then you hope they come up with something like the next Grounded.
Yeah, exactly. So
like,
it's
like you have like an Obsidian kind of thing going on over there, and they just get to a production timeline.
Yeah, exactly. But
Keeper's October, right?
Yeah, Keeper is in October, so like this year, which is kind of crazy to think about. Like, oh shit, it's just kind of happening. They talked about it, and they're just like, yeah, we're making this shit. I'm like, great. Let's just do more of that. Like, yeah, the article we're reading here like kind of draws a comparison with Josh Sawyer at Obsidian, kind of being like the fact that they can do smaller projects within this kind of Xbox ecosystem to do things like Pentiment and then do things like Grounded, but then also still do things like Avowed and Outer Worlds 2 and kind of I think it's great. Like I love these kind of smaller, weird, interesting games coming from Microsoft and being like, yeah, we're putting our money where our mouth is. I don't think we'll get too much more of that out of like the Blizzard Activision stuff, but like I think they have so many studios. It's great to see that Double Fine are at least, yeah, doing something.
Really makes me wonder, like with Obsidian and all that, with Xbox behind Blizzard now, whether they'll do like the multi. Obviously, they'll have Call of Duty and all that as the major titles, but uh, sorry, I should say Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Diablo, and all that. But
Sure.
whether we get more smaller projects as well. Is there anything else to say about Keeper? Or
No, I just think it's like I think the inspiration apparently came from COVID and kind of like going outside and going on walks and kind of like that being the thing a lot of the team had to do and kind of have solace in. And it seems like a game around like surreal exploration through a very strange, interesting world, which like great. I'm all for it. I'll almost certainly be playing this day one. But it's real. I just wanted to highlight that it's really nice to see that Double Fine are getting to do this and other stuff. And if they're all brand new IP, it's the stuff where, like you said, Xbox just gave them a truckload of money and said, just make some cool stuff. And I'm super on board for it.
kind of makes me think of. Have you heard of Building Relationships?
I have heard of it. I'm a married man,
The,
but
no, the dating game that is about a building.
no, I have not
It's a
heard the.
building.
I've heard of Date Everything, but that's the only other one.
It's a similar vibe. So, whenever I think of Keeper, I think of this game, which is, I think it's the solo. Oh, maybe I'm not right about that. You play as a building where you like roll, jump around, and all that. Across a cozy island. It kind of gives Keeper kind of gives off that
Sure.
similar
Sentient
moving
building.
and yeah, kind of just interesting.
All
what
right.
kind of games can. Anyway, um, going for the pre-show stuff. Still, there was the Bubsy sequel announced. Bubsy
Yeah.
40.
What the fuck? Yeah,
Yep.
that's a real strange one. I didn't realize that there was any demand for another Bubsy game. So, all right.
There was the Densha attack, which is like a sentient. What was it like? Sentient train kind of thing.
Yeah, that looks really fun.
Train game.
Yeah.
That kind of gave me and Nikita were looking at it, just like this is like a very strong Jet Set Radio kind of vibe.
100%.
Like,
Yeah,
it was
like you
gonna
can
be
see
a
where they're in
day
for so
one.
like that and Crazy Taxi. That kind of that kind of like bombastic arcade style stuff, but with a train.
The thing that really sold me on the pre-show though was Valamortis. Did you see the trailer for that one?
No, but I saw there was some previews coming out about it. Apparently, it looks like a Souls-like kind of idea, right? Is kind of what they're going for.
Yeah. So for me, creators from Ghost Runner,
Yes,
Souls-like, and it seems like they're basing it all around the French Revolution.
great, sold.
Like it very much came. It very much came off as this is the Ghost. What is the Ghost Runner studio called? Anyway, it came off as that studio's version of their Lies of P.
Yeah, it definitely looks like like again, it's like Napoleonic War. Yeah,
Yeah.
looks great. I'm super on board for that. Yeah. I do remember reading a bit about that. It looks fucking great. And again, I love another Souls-like game, especially one that have like weird surreal shit going on. And the Napoleonic era is something that we kind of don't see a lot of in video games these days. It's sort of an underserved market. So yeah, definitely keen to see that.
I'm trying to think of what kind of like French games that we've. The other thing I can think of is Unity.
And in terms of like developers,
No, like as in terms of like
Oh, Assassin's
games
Creed
you can
Unity.
run.
Game set in
Yeah,
France.
sorry, Assassin's Creed Unity.
I mean,
Yeah.
Expedition 33 is basically set in France. They literally have an Eiffel Tower, and the place is called Lumiere, and the whole place is Art Deco and Art Nouveau. So yes,
Get around to completing it.
do it.
I swear, it'll
Fucking
get done before
do
the
it.
end of the year. All right, so yeah, that was all the pre-show stuff. The primary show got started with a new look at Call of Duty Black Ops 7.
Which looks
And
fucking
what-
average.
Yeah.
I
I disagree.
I'm not. I mean, look. I will play it. I
Okay,
really
okay.
enjoyed Black Ops 6, but nothing in this
So-
trailer excited me.
4-player co-op and campaign.
Yeah, sure, okay. I mean,
I immediately know this is going to be something I play day one because I know that if I can get a few buddies together and it's the same kind of experience as Black Ops 3.
yeah, I know what you mean, like the weird surreal imagery and my concern is that them moving to a co-op campaign, I feel like breaks the pacing of those, like, again, because the campaigns of like the Modern Warfare games and Black Ops and stuff are really, for the most part, outside of those fucking weird open world levels and Modern Warfare 3, have been really, really like well crafted and interesting. Like the campaign in Black Ops 6 was really fucking cool. That's some really good stuff in there. And I just feel like having your buddies running around and being like, yo, what's happening, you know? Res me. Like, I don't know. But I might be worrying about nothing. I just feel like the single player aspect has been the thing that I like the most about those things.
Yeah. I feel like it's a hard sell for you because you haven't played all of them.
Sure. It's been a while.
Because I mean, Keo, back me up in chat here, but like we've played Black Ops 3, which is Black Ops 3 is kind of that mindfuck kind of you don't unreliable narrator kind of situation, the same as Black Ops 1, right?
Yeah.
The fact that 7 is meant to be a direct sequel to number 2 is what sells me on it the most because Black Ops 2 is my favorite COD game of all time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm pumped personally because I enjoy doing the co-op campaign. And this is a game that I watch the cutscenes and everything.
I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I will be playing this almost certainly, right? Like, I loved Black Ops 6. It made my game of the year list in terms of like as an absolute surprise. But yeah, I don't know. But I just feel like that I don't have that love for the story behind like Black Ops 2 and all that sort of stuff and the Mendez things and all that, like, you know, I really like Black Ops 1 and I loved, you know, the numbers Mason and all that ridiculous shit, but I don't know. But it's been a long time since I played Black Ops 2, so maybe if I went back to it.
I think Black Ops 2's story holds, like Black Ops 1 is very much like a separate thing, whereas in 2 is like they built on the pre-existing story. So.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
Keo, that's Adrian's fault. He's saying like why you know why it fell apart. We didn't finish Black Ops 3. It was co-op because Adrian decided that he didn't want to talk in the party while we were doing realistic.
Yeah, I heard it's tough.
Anyway, so Call of Duty Black Ops 7 followed by a reveal for the Sekiro Shadows Die Twice anime adaptation.
Oh,
I was kind of on it, to be honest.
I mean, I love Sekiro. Like, FromSoft are probably, you know, one of my favorite devs ever, and Sekiro is a fucking fantastic game that literally made me break one of my controllers. Not even from rage, just from like trying to fucking parry shit. I just broke one of the bumpers. Let me put it this way: the studio had to come out today and say that the anime is not being made with AI, because the visuals that they showed off in this, the way it looked, did not look great. Like, I was not super impressed with the way this looks. And maybe it'll look better when you watch it, but the fact that they used a lot of these shots for a sizzle reel, for a trailer, and I wasn't impressed by any of it, and people are going, oh, is this AI? Because it feels like it's put together really weird and kind of choppy and not great, and they had to come out and say that it's not AI, is not a good fucking sign. So I'm worried that this is kind of just not going to get the budget that's required, but I am curious to see what they do with it. I mean, I feel like the Sekiro is like the one FromSoft story outside of like maybe Armored Core, that kind of is a nice self-contained thing that has like a story to it. That you don't necessarily have to do the whole like Vadi Vidya lore drop stuff for like the Souls games and all that sort of thing.
I think the whole time me and Nikita were watching that trailer, we were just going to each other, chop, 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 chop.
Yeah.
But I wasn't impressed. In all honesty, like I was like, I don't know. It took me a while to realize it was Sekiro too.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, no, I got it pretty much straight away.
But I haven't played Sekiro yet, so.
Yeah, right. It's fucking burned into my brain. So I'm super curious, but also, this is not the first video game adaptation anime that we've seen. We've seen a lot of them recently, and most of them have been pretty middling to bad. I'm just thinking back to like Devil May Cry and Tomb Raider and Dragon's Dogma and all that kind of stuff, and just like, yeah, I don't know. So we'll say I'll keep an open mind.
I put in the little tidbit session as well that apparently the Splinter Cell Deathwatch anime is coming to Netflix next month.
Oh, okay.
Not next month, October.
Okay, so that's not too far away then.
October 14th. Maybe like from that. My favorite thing of opening live was Lego Batman.
Yeah, Lego Batman looks fucking hilarious.
Like I feel like they're really leaning into it. They said they're going to have difficulty levels and all that. What else was there? I don't know. Matt Berry just playing Bane.
Great.
Love it.
Love Matt Berry. He's great in everything. Yeah, I don't know. Like I've gone off the Lego games for a long time now, and I know that there was a lot of good buzz around the Skywalker saga. They did for like all 9 Star Wars movies that they put all together. As like they didn't just make it the same Lego sort of format that they have done in the past. They've very like changed it up quite a bit with a lot of new features and a lot of like actually quite a bit of depth to it. Still like 100-hour game that I just cannot justify putting that much time into a fucking Lego game. But I am really curious to see what they do with this. People, it almost has like a sort of Batman Arkham kind of like vibe to it, but as like almost like a parody. So yeah, and I like the Lego humor. So this looks great.
It's weird because I feel like from what they showed off it felt like it really got the tone right.
Yeah.
But it was like the tone of Batman, but also the tone of a Lego game.
Yeah, I mean,
which is like two things that shouldn't gel well together.
It's like the Lego movie and the Lego Batman movie. Like I feel like they know the humor. They get what people liked about that kind of stuff. But they also know that most of the people who are going to be playing this are going to be super fans of Batman. The kinds of people who just love that stuff, but also want to share it with their kids and that kind of thing. And like, this will be a great co-op game for sure.
This is Dawn of War 4.
Yep.
Which I believe it leaked prior. Looks pretty good.
Yeah. Looks great. Love Dawn of War. Those games are fantastic.
Indiana Jones Indiana Jones and the Great Circle was announced for Switch 2. I loved the box and just the Switch 2 logo coming.
Yeah.
It looked pretty cheap.
It did. But, they're doing a bit.
It's still funny. What else is there? Death by Scrolling was announced, which is from LucasArts veteran Ron Gilbert.
Mm-hmm.
Secret of the Monkey Island. That it was the kind of game that I saw and I was just like, why hasn't anybody made this shit?
Well, I don't know. Like
it feels like it. I don't know. You saw the trailer for it?
Yeah, like kind of endless runner style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right. It kind of feels like the idea that you would assume somebody would have done before.
Maybe.
It looked good. Don't get me wrong.
I don't know.
I'm keen to try it.
I think it's an interesting idea. I just don't know if it has legs in terms of like. I feel like it's something that I would kind of get annoyed with.
I mean, you're not the biggest fan.
I'm not a big fan of roguelites, right? So to be fair, I'm probably not the key audience for this. But this just kind of seems fucking frustrating, to be honest. But I don't know.
I mean, if this gave off, what is the game? Death Loop's in my head, which isn't.
No,
right.
You're thinking of Loop Hero.
Loop Hero, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if it has that kind of like really tight gameplay loop, then I'll be all for it.
Yeah.
On that, I'm gonna quickly go for the others. Ninja Gaiden 4, Silent Hill F.
Silent Hill F looks really good.
that story trailer.
Yeah,
I'm very keen to try it.
fucking sold.
Resident Evil Requiem looks amazing.
Yep, still looks like great stuff they're doing there. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. It is still apparently coming out this year. I'll believe it when I see it. And then I guess that sort of Black Myth, the next game from the Black Myth Wukong guys, Game Science. So apparently they're like, they haven't even started it. Apparently it's all like pre-production or whatever, but they're just announcing they're working on something new. So guess we'll see how that goes. Again, there was a bunch of other stuff in here too. Fallout Season 2 actually is another. The TV show the trailer looks really, really good. It's all in New Vegas. Seeing a lot of memes about it. I am very curious. The Legion are there. I mean, we love the TV series. We loved Season 1, so Season 2 can't come quick enough. So that's in December, right?
Yeah, December. Yeah, December 17th. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
There's one game on here that I want to mention too that isn't an Xbox release, but I really was like, is that Dante? Like, is somebody doing a Dante's?
Oh yeah, La Divina Commedia.
La Divina, yeah. And I went to Nikita and I'm just like, I am so gutted that's not coming to, like, hopefully this is a PC first and then gets ported out kind of situation, because I was like, hell yeah, I want a Divine Comedy game. I want a new one.
I mean, I hope they do. Yeah, like Dante's Inferno was a very, very loose interpretation of the Divine Comedy.
Yeah.
But people forget, like, the Divine Comedy is 3 parts, you know? Like, it's hell, it's purgatory, and heaven. Like, there's a lot of potential there. You don't just have to go through the circles of hell. But, I don't know, maybe you fight God at the end of it. Who knows?
There's another... I'm trying to think of what the other game was towards the end of the showcase. I don't think it's listed here.
Which one?
There was some. There was like, I think it was in the ad section.
Oh, okay, right.
I don't think it was like technically shown as a. Anyway, yeah, the Divine Comedy one looks pretty good.
Are you interested in Onimusha?
I am, but it's like just one of those games of like, so much coming out.
There is, yeah. I hope it does well, because if it gets good reviews, then I probably will give it a go. It's not till next year, obviously, but
well, I bought the first one in that sale. It was like 75% off or something. It was ridiculous.
Onimusha Warlords, yeah.
Overwatch 2 trailer looked. I need to know, why is Ben Schwartz in this? Like, why is Ben Schwartz the only person showing off Overwatch 2? Surely he's a character.
I mean, I would assume so. Yeah, they've got to be, right? But
they haven't said anything about it.
Well, yeah.
And it comes out in October, right?
Yeah, but I feel like they'll probably do, like, do you think we're going to get an Xbox showcase? Then again, they already did the deep dive stuff already with Obsidian, right? With that and Grounded 2. Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, like...
They haven't said why Ben Schwartz is in
all the material. He's got to be a character. Like, maybe a
companion or something. Yeah. I'm just like, he's just really good friends with Obsidian and they're banking on him being a bit of a gamer.
Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, you got the man that plays Sonic, so...
I don't know if anyone super interested in that game. I'm like, I love Obsidian, so I will be checking it out, but I don't feel like there's a huge amount of hype for it. But
I think general hype went down because of the pricing strategy.
Yeah, sure. That was kind of all the discussion around it.
I would say it's probably my most keen RPG though.
Okay.
Like their perks is like, if I could pick out of that or Avowed or finishing up Skyrim and all that, I'd probably just play Outer Worlds.
Yeah, true. I like the sci-fi setting more than anything else, to be honest, and I feel like it's the Starfield we never got. All right. Yeah, but we'll keep our eye out for other stuff coming out from Gamescom. Again, there's been a lot of like hands-on stuff and more previews and things, bits and pieces. So I'm really curious to hear more about like what's on the show for and what people are really hyped about.
There's one thing I quickly want to mention. This wasn't opening like live, but High on Life 2 got a release date of February next year.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, that's not too far.
Which is crazy because like what the first game was 2023, 2022.
23, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
Very quick turnaround.
Pretty quick, but then again, I'm sure they're using the same engine. Like, I think it's going to be, and they did do that DLC, so maybe it's just kind of, I don't know. That game also was not. I remember when High on Life was originally talked about, and we had a lot of discussion around like how big that game was going to be, because it, a lot of people were like, oh, this is the big new AAA thing, and it was like, I think this is going to be like a smaller AA kind of title that's like a tight, maybe 10 to 12 hour thing, which is kind of what it ended up being. It was a bit bigger than I thought it was going to be, but it was not a huge, massive galactic spanning open world game. It was like, no, we put you on a few different maps and you have a fun time and you make some jokes and then you go and do the DLC and it's a bunch of slugs on a salt planet. Every time they move, they just start dying. It's fucking hilarious. Like again, I'm not a big Rick and Morty fan. Like it wasn't the thing that kind of clicked with me for the most part. But the kind of that kind of humor in a video game works really fucking well.
Yeah. I started watching the new season Rick and Morty the other day. Man, it's rough.
Yeah, I think it's time.
Like say what you want about Justin Roiland, but like
he was a funny guy.
Yeah, he is a funny guy. I think they were doing an interview with Games Radar or maybe IGN, and they were talking about with the original they wanted to get Danny DeVito as one of the guns.
Really? Oh man, that would have been fucking.
And they said the only they floated the idea, they really pushed for it, but they said the problem was that the feedback they got was the agent doesn't understand it.
Yeah.
And if the agent doesn't understand it, Danny DeVito is not going to understand as well.
Got it. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, considering all the shit he does in Always Sunny.
A third one. Yeah, well, that's what I thought. Like, you would think that he would understand it, but
yeah. So I guess we'll keep an eye out and we'll report back next week on if anything else comes out and any other news. But yeah, Gamescom's looking really exciting this year. One of the bigger years for sure. You grabbed a couple of news stories for us, Cameron. Do you want to go through those?
We talked about Gamepass engagement.
Let's do that last. I want to kind of maybe talk a little bit about that afterwards.
I wasn't sure if we touched on it enough. So the two quick news stories that I saw, we got a few. One of them was the next Forza Horizon game setting may have been leaked by a car company.
Oh.
And in a now deleted post, it's always great when it's a now deleted post because it gives
some credence to it.
A little bit of weight to it. Yeah. Carlton Classic, an Australia car important, showed a photographer taking pictures of a car in Japan. Which is the how do you pronounce? Is it Key Cars or
Key? Yep, Key Cars. Okay.
Which are those very narrow Japanese, only native to Japan cars.
Right.
So it does kind of seem like they are doing a game based in Japan finally.
I mean, that's what everyone's been saying. It's the second most requested game set in Japan after Assassin's Creed. So I guess now Assassin's Creed done it, it was their turn. I'm super keen for it. I think Japan is an amazing setting for a Horizon game, and I might even fucking play it. Who knows, right?
I'm wondering if it's going to be Japan or whether it's going to be like East Asia kind of.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, it could be
a little bit more.
It could be more than just Japan. Yeah, I could definitely see that. Interesting, yeah.
Like Australia makes sense as a continent because we've got all the different variety and all that.
Sure, Mexico is a big spot. Yeah, I agree. And Colorado is just kind of...
I'm wondering where they would take it past...
I don't know, Japan. But then again, I mean, I feel like Japan has such a rich tapestry in terms of like biomes. Like, you could easily do like a big snow stuff up in Hokkaido, and the way that Hokkaido is set up is so completely different from the rest of that country that because it's quite long and narrow, you could have a lot of different stuff going all the way up from the south of Japan all the way to the north.
No, I'm curious with maps and all that, like how they'll pull it off, but
yeah,
more so than just is it going to be every game that feels like we're going to make the map bigger and all that kind of stuff, is it going to be something that feels still genuine for
Well,
a Forza experience?
I mean, if they do Japan, like it will probably be a much more, it'll have a much larger urban presence than something like Mexico did, right? Like Tokyo is the widest city in the world in terms of like area wise, like it's crazy big. You obviously need to represent that at least somehow within the game. So maybe it is like a more like a bigger split between like the urban and rural stuff, where it's like they have been very very rural over the last few games because that makes sense for doing tricks and jumping off stuff and not have to worry about buildings getting in the way of you wanting to smash boards and do drifts.
Very keen to see when they're going to announce this.
Yeah, maybe this is a, I don't know, maybe is this like a, oh, I don't know. I feel like this is probably probably a next year announcement, maybe next year release potentially. It's been a while since, I mean, again, we've talked many times about how Forza Horizon 5 is just kind of getting a bit long in the tooth now. It's been several years.
Horizon always seemed like it had a really good cadence to get releases out, but
yeah, well, now that Motorsport is basically done.
So next story, Xbox ROG Ally. So they announced the pricing, and the release date was, where is it in this article?
October 16th.
Cool. Xbox ROG Ally coming in October with the handheld compatibility program. So they announced the release date, which is October 16th. Details about pricing and pre-orders are coming soon. They announced the handheld compatibility program, which it calls a new Xbox initiative designed to make more games ready to play on your supported handheld. We've worked with game studios to test, optimize, and verify thousands of games for handheld compatibility, allowing you to jump into the game without having to tweak settings or requiring only minor adjustments. Basically their version of the Steam Deck Verify tag.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, it sounds like that's what they're doing.
So I believe I read with this as well that it would initially come out for the Xbox Ally X and the Xbox Ally, but then they're going to roll it into the other ROG Allies.
Oh, okay, which makes sense, right? I guess there's no reason why they wouldn't.
So I don't need an upgrade, which is great.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, a little bit of quick news. I'm very interested to see how they'll do it. I know Australia is a Xbox Ally launch country, so
is New Zealand. So I may be tempted. Yeah. We'll see kind of how many of these games are compatible and what that looks like. I mean, we have also been seeing every month or so Xbox has been adding more games to the stream your own library games to cloud gaming. So who knows?
There's like a big one they dropped last week, right?
Yeah, it was like
games or something?
Yeah, it was like 50 games. I think it was quite a lot. It is mostly more recent titles, obviously, because that's where the popularity is. But it is cool they're kind of filling in that backlog.
And then I've just got a quick few news story. Division 2, they announced their Survivors mode.
Oh, fuck me. All right. Yep.
Survival mode coming next year.
Of course it is. And it'll have achievements because it always does. So I got that to look forward to, I guess. Yeah, Kyo can try and drag our asses through that. To be fair, we've gotten actually pretty good at the Division with all the playing we've done, but we'll see if that carries over.
We're going to go back to the first one. And then the other stuff was Helldivers 2 coming out. They announced the Halo ODST crossover.
Oh, yeah, which looks really cool. I think like it's an amazing idea. I mean, ODSTs literally drop out of the sky, so like it's a match made in heaven for sure. And it's coming to the PlayStation version as well, apparently. So
it's a little cross-marketing there. That's me for my stories, though.
All right. Well, we'll finish off with this Xbox Game Pass story. So Newzoo are a video game industry analytics firm. And so they've done their annual marketing report, and a lot of the chat has been around Game Pass, like we were talking about earlier. And so apparently, the headline here is that Xbox Game Pass subscribers don't really play more games, which seems contrary to like everything that you would think of. The idea behind Game Pass is that it makes games more accessible, so therefore the barrier to entry is lower. So instead of having to, buy 6 games and pay, you buy a game every 2 months and you pay $100 for them, you pay a subscription fee and you can play those 6 games whenever you want and just kind of jump into them straight away without any risk. There's a quote here. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, you finish off.
Yeah, so something we've noticed, and we were a bit surprised, is that despite all the efforts done by Microsoft with Game Pass, the acquisition of many studios and the releasing of many high-quality games in Game Pass, we struggled to find significant different behavior compared to players on PlayStation. Xbox players just don't seem to be spending more time on games. They don't seem to be playing more games either. So we was a bit surprised that there was not a visible Game Pass effect on the behavior of players. They did also caveat, though, that the interpret's data was only to register the games that have been played for more than a set period of time. So obviously they had like cutoffs for like where those sit.
So going to this next sentence, this is the thing that worries me. The way we've looked at how many games are being played by people, we limit that to at least 2 hours of gameplay. So are we saying 2 hours of gameplay per session?
Yeah, but as a minimum, yeah.
I don't think that's...
I don't know. I mean, yeah, their idea is that like they don't consider that you've played a game if you don't play more than 2 hours of it, which I think is fair.
But if I'm like a working dad and all that, and I play an hour before bed each night,
yeah, but like
then that doesn't really count.
Sure, but I feel like, do those people really consider themselves like gamers as part of their identity if you play 1 hour of gaming a night? Like I feel like
every day. But it's like 1 hour per session.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like maybe, but I feel like that is. I'd be very curious to see how many people. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 hours seems a bit like. I'm sure there's a large audience of people that play like COD or Battlefield.
Always.
And they'll jump
for sure.
One match, right?
Yeah.
That's where I'm kind of like 2 hours seems like the bar's set a little too high for me.
Mm-hmm.
In what I would believe to be valuable data.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're showing that a lot of games are being tested by players within Game Pass, but they are not sticking around. I think that's the other thing too. Like, the first thing that jumped into my head, which I was going to cut you off about before, was I wonder how many people just initially purchase a game as a... Like, Game Pass is the try before you buy model. This is very much a case of, I've got a month of Game Pass.
Yeah.
Because I really like the look of the Elder Worlds 2. I'm going to try the game before I make a commitment to a purchase.
But why would you? If you already have it there and you can play it whenever, and especially if it's a first-party game, I don't know. I get like you might be right. To be fair, like I don't want to say.
I'm saying there will be consumers that will just do that. Of like, I'm just going to do the cheaper option first.
Yeah.
Spend a little bit of money to make sure it's worth the rest of my purchase.
But then why would you buy the game if you already have access to it and you've already paid a subscription for it? Like I want to make it clear. Like I don't necessarily think you're wrong. I think it's definitely possible, but I just feel like it makes no fucking sense to me. But people act in ways that are not logical all the time.
I'm the exact same belief of like, I don't care about owning my games, but there is a very passionate section of the community that are.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to like different people, different tastes, right?
Sure.
There will be that audience that want to buy their games because they like the fact that they own them, that they can go back 2 years later after updates and something and be like, well, I still have access to this. It's going to depend on the game, whether it's like a first party or a third party. Because there is a lot of people that will, they would not have that. This game is leaving Game Pass, get it now on a sale, if it didn't lead to consumers converting.
Sure, yeah, that's a call to action that makes a lot of sense about like getting on that FOMO piece and getting people to just go, fuck it, I'll buy the game. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a ton of stuff that we're not thinking about as well.
Yeah.
2 hours just seems really high for me.
I don't know. I mean, I think they make their point though, in that like 2 hours is what you can play before you hit the Steam refund policy, for example, and the idea being that if you're not putting 2 hours into a game, you're basically demoing it and you're sampling, and the idea being that I think that what they're saying, and again, like this is my interpretation, is that people are testing a lot of games, but they're not hitting that most of them are not hitting that 2 hour mark. And I feel like this is an issue with streaming as well, right? Where it's like, well, actually, it's an issue with streaming and it's an issue with piracy as a fun thing. So if you think about like streaming movies, like you go on Netflix, right? Or like, and you're like, okay, cool, hey, I've got a show, I'll watch like an episode. Does that count as you watching the show? Would you count that as someone watching your show? Or would it be like, oh no, they need to watch at least 3 episodes maybe? Or they need to watch at least half a season before we count them as watched the show, or for our metrics? I don't know. Like, how much of a game do you need to be playing for you to be counted as having played a game? Or at least started a game, if that makes sense.
I mean, the thing for me that's the most valuable data there is using the achievements.
Yeah.
How many people have started? How many? I mean, I very much look at the achievements of just like how many people have completed the story aspect, how many people have completed that first dive.
Yeah, but we know most people don't finish games, and we also know the most popular games don't have stories. You know, like it's like.
Sorry, go back to that last point. Most people don't finish games. It depends on what, like if we're talking about our community perspective, finish games is 100% completion.
Sure, but no, I'm talking about completing a story, getting to the end of a story. Most people don't even get that.
I just wanted to establish.
Sure. But like, you know, this was all the way back in like Mass Effect days when people were talking about like how it's like, oh yeah, like fucking no one gets the end of these games. Like we are the outliers of outliers of outliers, right? And so I guess that was my point, is that like where is the cutoff in terms of like what do you think is the minimum you need to have put into a game to basically say, oh, I've played a bit of that? Because like I feel like 2 hours is 2 hours is not asking too much for any game. And the idea being that if you're just jumping between games, it's like I said with the streaming thing, it's like, yeah, how many episodes do you need to watch before you go, oh, I watched a bit of that? And it's like, is it like 3 episodes? And then also this is the thing with piracy, right? This is something you hear a lot from people who have a lot of games available to them for free, is that they struggle to pick something to go into. They go, oh, well, I have 50 fucking games that I just downloaded off a torrent. How many of those, like, because I didn't pay for them, I'm not super invested in any of them because I don't have that I don't have that like sunk cost. I need to get something out of this. How much of that behavior is carrying over to Game Pass, where it's like, well, I'm paying the subscription, whatever. I'll play a little bit of this, but I didn't actually pay for this game, so I'm not that invested in it, and I'm probably not, like, it's like, oh, if I don't like it immediately, or like I just kind of play it for a little bit, I'll jump off it and play something else and try something else. I have so many to pick from, whereas like if you go and I think another thing in this article here talks about like how you can also see that people are, you know, like it's a big difference between people who spend $50 on a game, $50 to $100 on a game, are like, well, I spent money on this, I need to get something out of it, as opposed to this like, well, it's just here, it's available, and I'll play it a little bit if I want to, but I'm not like invested. And maybe that's the behavior that we're seeing here, is that like people aren't latching on because they just don't have the monetary guilt of saying, fuck, I put hard-earned money to this, I need to play it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of any other reasons.
So also Carlos also talks about in his about suggesting that Game Pass cannibalization is less of an issue for indie and AA developers. So it basically becomes like a parallel market. The idea being that like a lot of people who are Game Pass subscribers are the kinds of people who wouldn't have bought indie games anyway, and this is just a good vehicle for them to be able to experience these games, which I think makes a lot of sense. Especially when you're offering things like Call of Duty and things like that, like day one on that service, peppering it with other smaller indie stuff that people might be interested in between those, to keep people subscribed, but also just to keep them interested and get them to kind of get more invested in the system. That's something we've talked about numerous times around like what's that cadence of putting things out on Game Pass across genres.
I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. I mean, to me, the try before you buy would be the biggest thing for a general consumer.
Yeah, I just feel like the kinds of people who are like who will go on Game Pass aren't the kinds of people who are going to buy that game anyway. But maybe I'm wrong. I mean, like maybe AAA. I mean, but I don't know.
The other thing too is like I'm trying to think of how the free to play argument goes into this as well. Like you think the most popular games now are free to play.
A lot of
Like
them,
stuff
yeah.
like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Shane in the chat says Game Pass just makes my backlog feel more like the albatross it is, which I 100% agree with, especially when, because Game Pass just keeps adding new things, it's something that I have to work on in tandem with my backlog. Whereas I used to just work on my backlog and just chip through those games, and I would buy things occasionally. And like I've bought a few games this year on sale, but I'm definitely buying less than I used to. And Game Pass is supplementing me for things to talk about. And again, half the reason I buy things and play things is to talk about them on this podcast. I will freely admit that, Like, I could so easily just come on here and be like, yeah, I just played more Assassin's Creed this month. Like, I've been really bashing my head against a bunch of games, and we'll talk about them when we get to them. And I'm being like, no, I need to play new stuff so I have things to talk about on this show. But also because I want to have new experiences. The show is just a nice impetus for that. And Game Pass has been a nice way for me to do that without feeling like I need to shell out money for games that I'm not necessarily feeling like I need or aren't on good enough sales.
Well, the show's always just been a way for us to interact with the community and get suggestions for good games and to basically, help each other out with co-op and multiplayer and that kind of aspect. So,
yeah. Alison points out in the chat that for me that the urgency of having a deadline before things leave Game Pass is actually a good motivator for me, more than paying a game would be. That's true, yeah, because I feel like there is a FOMO piece there where it's like if I buy something, I can just chuck it on my backlog. And I've been trying to be really good about not doing that, and I bought something this week that I started immediately. But there is definitely, I have a Steam backlog as well. Again, I would buy a lot of Steam games I just literally never touched. But I always bought those on big sales, and Microsoft doesn't quite do that. But it is a very good point that it is a different feeling of going, shit, this thing's leaving Game Pass, or I only have a certain amount of time with this thing, I need to put some time into it. The one that's really butting up against that now is fucking Octopath Traveler 2. I've been finding any excuse possible to not play that game. But I know I have to do it because it's leaving Game Pass at some stage.
I'm just thinking of how much more efficient we could make you as a person by just putting deadlines and everything.
I mean, welcome to being a human. like that's fucking 100%. Yeah, I'm definitely the kind of person with the amount of gaming that I do that outside motivators. I mean, shit. The best example of this, and I wish Reptile was here to talk about this, but like when we did the Crash Bandicoot thing, right? And it was and Jake was like, I'm gonna do the Crash Bandicoot trilogy, and I've been putting that off forever because I was like, that's too difficult. And it's like, yeah, I have good memories of it, but I remember being a fucking bastard to get all those relics. And I was like, I'm never going to get around to it, and it's just going to bash my head against it. I don't want to play something that's really going to piss me off. But the minute he was like, yeah, let's do a competition. Let's do some outside motivation. Let's like really push ourselves to do it. And I fucking did it. Like,
you respond to that though. Like,
yeah, that works for me.
With me, like you just need that other person to challenge you. I guess.
Yeah, I definitely need the outside push because I play so many games and I have so many options, and I think Game Pass is part of that kind of thing. And I feel like a lot of people are like that, where it's like, something leaves Game Pass, and if someone's not an achievement hunter, they're like, oh well, I wasn't that interested in it anyway, or like it sounds like from this data that people are just kind of Game Pass is not having that like hook or change. It might be maybe let me put it this way. Game Pass might be changing the industry, but it might not be changing consumer behavior yet.
Yeah.
Outside of the AAA space.
I mean, I feel like people are. This is the thing, right? Game Pass to me, because it is so cheap and all you need to do is play one game a month,
and you got your money's worth.
Experience to justify it. Yeah. Whereas you think of other subscription services and that, I feel like the price comparison, I think it's like if you work out the cost for Spotify and all that over the amount of music you need to listen to, it's like such a sunk cost.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to be fair, I have Spotify playing almost 24/7 in my house. But yeah, I totally get what you mean.
But then you're getting your money's worth, right? Like if it's something that you're using for an hour a week, then you can't just...
Yes, absolutely. And I think maybe games are a slightly weirder equation than something like a streaming service or something. Again, but people spend their time how they spend their time, I guess.
All right. I guess the other way, think of Audible. If I listen to one book a month, then I'm getting my money's worth.
Sure.
I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good comparison actually, because Audible is kind of an interesting one in terms of like, yeah, you'd be paying for it's an investment, it's quite a long time. wonder how that subscription versus buying books kind of changed behaviors in that space as well.
Because I found out the other day, so I'll buy a month of Audible at a time when there's something I really want to listen to.
Yeah.
And then the other day, I found out that Joel McHale did a book back in 2016 that has a whole section on how to deal with Chevy Chase.
Really? Oh, that sounds fucking great.
Yeah. I saw the pictures of it all. I'm just like, I need to listen to what he says about this. I just need this in my life.
Yeah, 100%.
Hey, libraries are the greatest investment.
Yes,
of all.
libraries. Alison in chat points out libraries as a sort of interesting side piece to this in terms of like getting things for free, but also like I feel like the fact that libraries exist almost make it like, oh well, there's so many books there, I don't even know if I care that much. I'm not that invested because I didn't pay for any of this. Whereas like if I buy a book, I'm probably going to read it.
Moving to a new place and getting a library card is probably one of the best investments you can make.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it doesn't cost you anything.
All right. Well, let's move on from that. I would be very keen to hear more about but I think this is just an indicator of like where the industry is going and the fact that AAA for Game Pass apparently seems like it's going to struggle a little bit, whereas like the indie space is maybe a bit more healthy, which I think is something we've said over and over. Like the majority of what we use Game Pass for is indie stuff anyway, because it's just a great vehicle for that. Like I'm probably going to play Hurdlings this weekend if I have time.
Yeah. I feel like indies typically average around like $40 Australian now.
Yeah, which is getting a bit
shy of $40.
Bit fucking pricey, to be honest. Speaking of Game Pass, do you want to read through our Game Pass updates?
Yep. So I saw you put in here, and you left out one that I really want to talk about: Rogue Prince of Persia.
Oh yes, I completely forgot about that.
So I'm very excited to try that out because I've heard amazing things. Other games that have joined: Blacksmith Master, Voidbreaker, Goat Simulator Remastered, Persona 4 Golden, Hurdling, which I'm very keen to check out myself. Games that are coming: August 26th we have Gears of War Reloaded, and August 28th we have Dragon Age: The Veil Guard. You didn't end up getting the Veil Guard.
No, I've been waiting for it this whole time. To be honest, I've been playing Inquisition recently, and so to get ready for the Veil Guard because I knew it would come to EA Play. So this will probably be my next one to jump on.
Amazon Australia had a deal the other day. I don't know if it's still going on, but they had a list of 2,000 items you could buy.
Oh.
And if you bought it, you got a free copy of it.
Yes. Yeah, they're basically giving it away. So, yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
I think the cheapest was like $19 Logitech mice.
Wow.
You get a free copy of it. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I'm just curious to hear other people's thoughts. Leaving, we have Borderlands 3 Ultimate Edition, Sea of Stars, Paw Patrol, Mighty Pup Save Adventure Bay, Ben 10 Power Trip, which we'll definitely talk about, and this War of Mine Final Cut. Yeah,
Paw Patrol's probably the quickest one to do. Sea of Stars, I have mixed feelings about, but if you're missing the DLC for that, I would definitely recommend it, though. It is very, very well made, and it's free. Borderlands 3 is leaving awfully quick. It's only been in there for a few months.
Advertisement for Borderlands 4.
Yeah, basically, right. Borderlands 4 is next month, so I suppose that's not a huge surprise. That's a bit of a shame. I did not end up starting the PC version at least, so I don't have to worry about that.
Just in that situation.
Yeah, well, hey.
I mean, I'll go on a sale, surely.
It will, definitely. It always does. Patreon.com/Hall of Gamers. If you want to help support the show, all of our extra content goes onto there. And we reinvest. I literally reinvest every dollar from the Patreon into paying for hosting this show on Buzzsprout. I get the bill, and that bill gets paid directly by that. So a huge thank you to Old Mate Clown, Cavaliero7, Hack and Pone, Kung Fu Skills, Happy Moogles, Admiral Awesome, Natolinator, Lee Howard, Left for Legacy, and Venoms AU. Literally could not afford to do the show without you guys, and you guys definitely make it worth it when we're sick or we're struggling or we don't have news and we really want to, you guys are the driving force behind making this show happen. So thank you so, so much. We're very, very lucky to be in the position we are, that we can afford to do this and not have to dip into our own personal money for it. We also have the bimestral burden. Every 2 months we come up with a bit of a theme. We're getting towards the end of August now, so we'll have a new one for you guys next week. But this monthly theme for July and August has been co-coping. So you and your buddies against the world, team up, play your co-op games. We've been playing a lot of co-op stuff recently, actually. Stuff that's been surprisingly co-op, including Ben 10. So, yeah. Let us know if you've been playing any co-op games, what you've been working on. And we'll have a new theme for you guys next week. All right, let's get into what we've been playing. It's been a couple of weeks, so we have a decent list. But Cameron, do you want to start?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go quickly because basically I was the exact same as last week.
Yeah.
Still doing Anthem, still doing Super Dungeon Bros down to one challenge. So that would be nice completion to get it out of the way. And then most of this week I've just been spending in Ben 10 Power Trip, which I was hoping to finish today, but I got really sick last night. Just coming up to the end of it now.
What do you think of Ben 10?
The main story and all that is fine. Like it's a fine kids game that just has too much of a tail end and too much of a tail end, and then I guess at the same time some bugs that just ruin the experience. Like
it's very buggy. It is definitely very buggy.
I don't think it's like very buggy.
I mean, I've had crashes. I've had like there's been a lot of these things where it's like you can jump as the tiger form, but you can't jump onto the final platform, and you have to transform and kind of do like a glitchy jump. There's a few of those. Like I feel like the game is not very, very well made at all. I've had enemies get stuck in stuff. I had a collectible at the end glitch out, so I didn't get all the upgrade tokens. I had to start a new game to get the last one. Thankfully, my progress carried over, so I still got the achievement. But I would have been fucking furious if I didn't. And then there's this whole thing where it's like if you start the game and you stop the game if you turn off the game for any reason while doing this decibel collectible achievement, you just won't get it on the Xbox.
Yeah. So the only thing that sucks for me there is I got an Xbox update during, which had to start the game up again, and then I'm missing 3 doors.
Yeah.
So I'll get it done hopefully tonight. I think I've got like 7 achievements left. I think it's fine, but yeah, the bugs detract from the experience, but I don't think it's a bad game.
I don't know. I think it is a bad game. I think that even like an outright games game, I think in terms of what they were doing, like making this a big open world game makes no sense for a start. Like level based would have made so much sense. The fact that you're playing as Ben 10, you only have 6 aliens. Like that's crazy to me. 10 is in the title. They couldn't come up with 4 more. I mean, there's again, like I used to be a fan of the show when I was a kid. Like I can name most of the original 10 aliens, like, and most of them aren't in this. I mean, Diamond Head's in there and Forearms, and so is Accelerate. But well, I guess Heat Blasters too. But I don't know. It's just weird to me that they just were like, oh yeah, we only have a few of them. Also, it's a big open world. These missions are all kind of like fetch quests, repetitive stuff. The combat is awful. Like, I just feel like I don't know. Like,
I mean, at the end of the day, like it is very much a kids' game.
I guess so, but there's just nothing in it. Like I just feel like it doesn't gain anything from being a big open world game. But
yeah, the map is way too big.
Yeah, for no reason.
I don't know. I feel like you're right. It would be good to have 10 forms and all that, but I think 6 is fine.
Kyo asks, is that what the 10 stands for? Yes, the Ben 10, the whole thing is that he has 10 different aliens that he can turn into. He actually has a lot more than that, but that was the idea. And his last name is Tennyson, yeah. Ben Tennyson, yeah.
Are you saying remove the co-op in this game and put in another 4 forms?
Yeah, well, there is co-op in this game. You can play as Kevin 11, so there is that. I don't know why you would, but I guess if I get it as a kid.
Did you do any co-op? Or
no, I didn't bother with it because you don't need to, but you can do. It is there. You can play. Yes, the second player can play as Kevin, so that's kind of interesting. But
yeah, I'm just wondering if it makes it a quicker completion if you got somebody going around.
Maybe I don't know what how close you can be and all that sort of stuff, but maybe yeah, I'd be very curious to hear. I don't think anyone's played it through co-op though.
I mean, the only time I've seen the co-op is going into those combat challenges and the that kind of stuff. I don't know. From what I've played of it so far, it's pretty much it's good. It's okay. That's where I leave it.
Yeah, it also has like a 3.3 ratio, which is nuts. But I think a lot of people dropped off it very quickly.
It's all like, did you grind your coins during combat challenge?
No,
For the city?
I didn't need to. You invested completely in luck when I first started the game, so every enemy drops an extra coin when you kill them. So by the time I was done, I had enough to buy everything.
I should have done that because I did damage first, and then I left luck for the second one, and I just had to grind that for an hour today to get enough coins.
Yeah, right.
2,000 coins per upgrade point is stupid.
It's a lot. Yeah,
That is my only gripe.
yeah. So yeah, I've also been playing that, so I just finished that this afternoon. Glad to be done with it, to be honest. I also finished up Anthem the other week, so again, another big fucking grind. Glad to get that done. I don't know if that actually left Game Pass. I was actually going to go and check and see if anyone who didn't buy the game could go and figure out if that's actually still there. Something that I've been,
Listed, right?
yeah, would have been part of EA's plays, right?
They're showing Xbox Game Pass Core.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, okay. I also I've talked about this with you guys a little bit, but I haven't talked about it on the show, I don't think. Crime Scene Cleaner. So I played through the title update for that, and it was really good. The idea being, I was a bit worried about it because, getting a title update that goes, hey, play through the whole fucking game again, do all the levels again, but on like nightmare mode. And I was like, oh fuck, is this gonna be like really difficult? And I was like, no, actually, there is a pro cleaner mode, and you have to do like one level, like finish one level with that like pro cleaner, but you don't have to 100% it. You can just like get like 70% and then leave and get the achievement, and you don't have to do it on one level, so you can do like one of the easy ones. But this nightmare mode basically is as a new sort of story about like a ritual cult and sacrifice and all this kind of weird fucked up shit going on. That kind of ties together each of the levels, and then basically takes the original levels and then twists them into new different forms. The first level is relatively similar, but has a lot more bodies. But for example, one of them, there's like a pizza restaurant that you go to turns into a like Five Nights at Freddy's kind of thing, where there's a mascot that moves around when you're not looking. There was one where it's an apartment building that you go into is then turned into like a cat cafe with cardboard boxes and stuff. You have to kind of like rebuild a little cardboard box tower. There's like a bunch of, like, again, they're all kind of different ones. There was one that was it was like a party house, or like a party at like an abandoned a cabin out in the woods that went like horribly wrong. That's now turned into like a ritual cult sacrifice thing where you need to put things on an altar to open a portal to an ancient hidden temple and shit. Like, there's all kinds of like they kind of remix all the levels and change things up enough so that even if you're familiar with the original game, they're a really kind of fun, interesting change to them. Not all of them are great. Some of them are just kind of like, okay, they've kind of made some small like color changes here, or the bodies are in slightly different places. But it was enough of a change that I was kind of like interested to see what each level was. There was one level that was was originally around a smart house that someone like thought the place was being possessed and like killed their like kid or whatever, or like killed their like son and like sacrificed them. And when you go in there, you look out the window and you realize you're in space and everything's low gravity. So if you drop something, it just floats to the ceiling and things like that. So they play with the concept a lot, and it's a free update. So I definitely recommend it. I think my only real issue with the game is that the nightmare levels don't give you any experience. So they've also added some achievements for leveling up all of your abilities. So if you finish the base game, you'll probably be like 80 to 90% of the way there. So you might have to replay a few of the base game levels. I really feel like you could have just gotten experience and money from the nightmare levels to let you level up, but I feel like it's just a bit of an oversight.
I feel like Island said something. He was enjoying it, but then one of the achievements glitched out on him.
He had some issue with one of the achievements. I'm not sure which one, though.
Yeah. I'm going to ask him about it.
Yeah. The other thing that I played last week was Revenge of the Savage Planet, which we were talking about earlier. I think this game is great. I completely finished it. Like I started it. I think I mentioned it like a couple of weeks ago that I'd like done like got like the gun and started like maybe like an hour. I decided to like seriously play this. I started on PC. So my wife has been using the TV for her for the new Rune Factory game on Switch. So I've been more on the laptop recently. And I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to do this game. It's a game where you don't really need a guide. You can just kind of play through it, have a fun thing with the live action stuff with the story, and again, I really enjoyed the original as well. I think the third person thing actually makes the game a bit better. They've got a lot of good quality of life stuff. There's some really, like, I like the upgrade tree. You do have to grind out for minerals and materials a little bit too much towards the end, which is a bit of a pain. So just as you're going through the game, make sure you just grab all the material nodes as you get them, because you'll need pretty much all of them. But I liked capturing the animals. I liked the research stuff. The fights are fun. The environments are interesting. The idea that like there are many different planets that you go to, and each of them are kind of slightly different in terms of like their biomes. This game's great. It reminds me of early. It reminds me of like the early Ratchet and Clank games, like 1 and 2, where it's like you go to a level which is like a new world. It's kind of a small little map with some fun little interesting things going on it, some collectibles, some combat, some puzzles. Like, it really does feel like an early PS2 game, like really quality, well-made game. I had a great time with it. The DLC, the launch DLC, is kind of not great and kind of a bit scummy. I really feel like that stuff should have just been included. But it's easy enough to do. It takes like an hour, if that.
The only stuff that I'm glad with the DLC is like the fact that you purchase one, you don't have to purchase it for the other part.
True, yeah, it carries over, which is nice. So I'm at some stage I'll do the stack for this as well on the Xbox. But I would highly recommend. I think everyone should give this game a go. If you have Game Pass, this is a must play. This will probably end up on my Game of the Year list. Probably sort of towards the bottom, but I still think this is like top 10. Great game.
I think if you can play it in co-op, because I did the PC version of Quarry Island, and then I did the other version of Kia, and I enjoyed, like, as soon as I finished one, I went straight into the other.
Yeah. It also has couch co-op as well, so that's another good shout for that too. So definitely check it out. Yeah, co-op does sound like the way to play it. I might force Alison to play through it with me when I do it on the Xbox. So and then the other thing that I've been playing is where I was talking about games that I bought recently and making sure I played them. I've been going back to the Castlevania Dominus collection and fucking loving it. It is so good. I did talk about the Advanced collection, a few months ago when I played that and how I really, really enjoyed that. This is just more of the same. So I finished up Dawn of Sorrow, which is the DS game. We had to draw the magic symbols on it and shit. That one's probably not... It's one of the weaker titles for the series, but it is still a really cool game. And I just finished the main story for Portrait of Ruin, which is one of my favorites, where the idea is you jump into these different paintings. And so you have the main castle, but you also have these little sub areas that you go to. So the idea is like, oh, cool, we're going to put you in like a London sort of street with like carriages and stuff, because again, it's set during the Second World War. And then there's also one where it's like, oh, cool, then now we're going to go to like an Egypt theme, where it's like a pyramid and sphinxes and things like that. So like they kind of play around with the formula where it's like you don't have to just be in the castle the whole time, but the castle itself is obviously still there as well. The games aren't super long. I've now, once you complete them, you basically get access to a second mode where you get to play as different characters that have like super powerful abilities, but they can't change weapons. So you kind of have to like play around with their different like very like set styles, which is kind of fun and interesting. So I'm currently going through Portrait of Ruin as Richter and Maria. And then the last one on that list to do, because it's 3 games, is Order of Ecclesia, which is the other DS game that they brought out, which is definitely the hardest one. I remember playing it a little bit and getting my ass handed to me. So that one's definitely even more open world, where it's like literally just going between towns and stuff. I think it's definitely the basis. The basis used for Bloodstained, like Ritual of the Night, has very like that kind of vibe to it, absorbing different abilities from enemies and things like that. So I never finished that one, so I'm really curious to go to that. So I'm going to try and I've been putting some serious time into it. It's been really, really like a fun game that reminds me like how much I love Metroidvanias as like nearly the perfect genre for my kind of sensibilities. And like there's a map, you fill out the map, you gain levels. There's a leveling system, like you have 100% of a map, you go and do bosses, there's hidden secrets and shit, like just fucking inject that shit right into my veins. I love it. And then I did start one other thing that I bought just this week, which is the Plucky Squire. So, yes, Cameron?
Sorry, I was going to say, with it, did you end up doing the Advanced Collection? Or?
Yes, I did do the Advanced Collection, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I was just having a look at them. Sorry.
Yeah. Advanced Collection is great. Advanced Collection has the first half of the 2 Soma games, which I think is Area of Sorrow, I think is the first one, and then Dawn of Sorrow was the Game Boy one, and then it was Dawn of Sorrow, which was the sequel, the direct sequel to him. But yeah, I think the Advanced Collection might be a bit better in terms of its games. I think those are like more fun and interesting. But I like Portrait of Ruin. I really, really like. I feel like it's like a really interesting distillation of the classic Metroidvania like sort of stuff, but with like, you know, a second character and be able to swap between them and kind of some interesting new mechanics for sure. It also makes me sad that we haven't had a new Castlevania game in a very, very long time. I think the last one would have been Lords of Shadow 2.
Yeah, I need to go back to playing Lords of the Shadow because I was enjoying it, but I got sidetracked.
I love the original Lords of Shadow. It is very different as a Castlevania game, though, because it's level-based as opposed to like the open map stuff, but still very, very cool. One day I will go back to Mirror of Fate and try and do that fucking boss rush mode, but Jesus Christ, it's difficult. And then, yeah, I started the Plucky Squire, so I finally went on a sale that I was like, fuck it, I need something new to play. It's 35% off. I'm just going to pick it up. And I'm still early on, but I'm enjoying it. It's very cute. It has accessibility mode stuff, so if you just want to like be invincible and have like one-hit kills and stuff, you can kind of do that if you want. I've just kind of gotten to the first like 3D part in that part of the story. I'm on like chapter 3 of 10, so I'm not sure. I don't think it's a super long game, but I am interested to see kind of where it goes. I've heard that it doesn't really capitalize as much on the mechanics as you kind of hoped it would, but still really cool idea for a game, and I wanted something a bit fresh and new to play. So so that's me for this week. All right. We've also got the word challenge, everyone's favorite competition where I come up with a game and you have to guess what it is on our Discord and the word challenge channel. You get one guess per hour. And so I'm giving away clues each week, starting with not super helpful to basically giving you the answer if you watch the show live, which is usually how it happens. So since we missed one, I'm giving you guys a big clue this week. So the first one is this game is a handheld game. It takes place in the USA. And the third clue is this game has a number in the title. So that should narrow it down quite a bit. I'd be really curious to hear what you guys are putting in the Discord. And maybe the GIF will work this time. Probably fucking won't, because Discord's a bastard and that bot is a nightmare. But yeah, get in there, get your guesses in. Good luck to everybody.
Tell it how you really feel.
Yeah, fucking tell me about it. All right. I'll do the leaderboards, and you want to do completions, Cameron?
Yep.
All right, leaderboards. So if you want to join our leaderboard, we rack up all the points for the week and give us the top three. So in third place, we have Basham with 5,895 gamer score. Ozbuff Fanatic with 6,544, and Thrash Forever once again with 42,680. I do not understand. But I'm in fifth, so doing okay, you know. But yeah, definitely.
Where am I?
Yeah.
Probably not anywhere near the top.
Are you in here? No, you're 16th, so that's pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
In terms of completions, we have Cobra Todd and Kyo with It Takes Two. We have Alpha D Pills here with Mass Effect 2. Rap Show, Crash Team Rumble, and Mad Lefty with Ben 10 Power Trip.
We do have a couple of others that have come in late, but let me just pull those up as well. We had Shadowed Sly finally finished Grand Theft Auto 5, which I just wanted to shout out as like a big fucking achievement. He wrote a whole thing around like how much of a fucking pain it was. He's put over 600 hours into it, so big congratulations to Sly. That's a huge achievement. Jake also finished Project Cars with Dragframe helping him out. And our good friend Nick has finally finished Space Marine 2, which means it's probably time for us to buy the game and never play it with him.
That's how that works.
Yeah.
We didn't do the show last week. Did we shout out Ickles and Machine for Outlast Trials and Mafia?
Yes, I think we did. Yes, we did. Yeah.
Cool. Make sure.
And I think that's pretty much going to bring us to the end of the show. As always, we do the show live. Xbox Hall of Games is a place to find us. So come hang out with us there. Chat with us. Join the Discord as well. That's the main place to have all of our goings on, like the word challenge, and you get notifications of when the show's going live and any competitions and stuff that we do, and kind of, you know, we get a lot of good discussion going there around the news as well. So check that out. Cameron, anything you want to shill?
I get married in less than a month. My next 5 weeks are looking crazy.
Yeah. So I will just say, the podcast scheduling is probably going to be a little difficult over the next few weeks. I know we missed last week because I was away and with work and that sort of stuff, and with Cameron's wedding coming up. We will see how the podcast goes in terms of like how many episodes we get out. We will be endeavoring to try and get as many of them out as possible. We're going to try and find Shane and Jake and see where the fuck they got to, and hopefully Keo is on the mend so we can get a few episodes out while Cameron is busy.
I mean, Shane last we saw was like on a beach somewhere, right?
He was on a very nice beach.
Near a pool.
Near a pool. He's having a great fucking time.
Yeah, I was like mid-September though. It might be a bit hard to do a podcast episode, but
yeah. Well, many of us will also be there for the wedding, so also that's going to make things a bit difficult too. So, September.
Yeah, we'll do a podcast the morning of.
Well, that's fine. Yeah, it's easy. Yeah, we'll get it done. But I think that's going to bring us to the end of episode 181. A huge thank you to Cameron, to Char for doing our wonderful thumbnails and helping with support with the show on the back end, and our wonderful Patrons and listeners for keeping the show going. If you do want to check out the backlog of episodes, check us out on YouTube. I upload them all there as well if you want to see our beautiful faces and if you're an audio-only listener. But that's been episode 181. We will catch you guys next week. See you later.
Bye, everyone.